Have you heard the powerful call of Psalm 2:12? Dear reader, have you ever been touched by the powerful words of Psalm 2:12? They echo both an invitation and a warning. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to kiss the Son and find blessing in trusting God? Or what the story would be like of someone who, lost in their own ways, discovered peace by surrendering to this call? Come with me and dive into this story that may warm your soul and reveal what it means to live trusting the Son who guides and protects us. The story of Marcos. At 50 years old, Marcos sat on the porch of his simple home in a small town where the sound of crickets mixed with the silence of the night. A soft breeze moved the curtains, and the moonlight illuminated an open Bible resting on Psalm 2:12. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. These words, read during an afternoon of despair, felt like a lighthouse in the middle of the storm of his life. They made him reflect on the wrong paths he had taken, and the peace he eventually found by trusting the Son. Marcos grew up in a broken home, with an absent father and an overwhelmed mother who had little time for affection. From a young age, he tried to fill that void with adrenaline and adventure. At 20 years old, he became a motorcycle racer, competing in amateur races and living a life of risk and parties. He felt invincible, as if he could defy the world, even God. "I don't need anyone telling me what to do," he'd say with a defiant smile, revving his motorcycle down the highways. By 30, Marcos opened a motorcycle repair shop. His charisma brought in customers and friends. But the free life he thought he was living had cracks. He got involved in shady deals, fixing stolen bikes to make quick money. His relationships were unstable, and loneliness always lingered, even in the crowd. Still, Marcos ignored the warning signs, believing he was in full control. One night at 38, everything changed. During an illegal street race, Marcos lost control of his bike and suffered a serious accident. In the hospital, his body covered in bandages and his soul shattered, he faced reality. His life was on the brink of destruction. A nurse named Lucia left a Bible on his bedside with a note. "Read Psalm 2:12, Marcos. God is calling you." He opened it, and the words, "Kiss the Son," hit him like thunder. For the first time, Marcos felt a different kind of fear, not of death, but of continuing down a path that would destroy him. In tears, he prayed, "God, I don't know who this son is, but I don't want to perish. Help me." Kiss the Son. After months of recovery, Marcos returned to his hometown, limping but with a renewed desire in his heart. He went to the church where Nurse Lucia attended and met Pastor Daniel, a 55-year-old man with a firm yet welcoming voice. In a Bible study, Marcos asked, "What does it mean to kiss the Son?" Daniel explained, "It's a gesture of surrender, love, and trust in the Messiah, Jesus. It means bowing before him, recognizing that only in him can you truly live. When you trust in him, you are blessed." Those words struck Marcos deeply. He realized he had lived like the rebellious kings of Psalm 2, defying God's authority. The kiss was an invitation to change, to lay aside pride and self-sufficiency and trust the Son who offers salvation. Marcos began reading the Bible eagerly, praying to learn how to truly live for God. He returned to his shop but made a firm decision. He would only work honestly, even if it meant less money. The test of trust. At 45, Marcos faced a test. An old friend, Zay, approached him with an offer to repair stolen bikes in exchange for a large sum of money. "You need it, Marcos. Now's not the time to play the saint," Zay laughed. The money could pay off his accident debts and support his aging mother, who now lived with him. But Marcos remembered Psalm 2:12. To perish in the way meant continuing in rebellion. With a trembling but firm heart, he said, "I've chosen to kiss the Son." Zay left, mocking him, but Marcos felt a peace he had never known before. Blessed are those who trust in him without easy money. Marcos had to work twice as hard. He remodeled his shop, focusing on local customers and building a reputation for honesty. At church, he volunteered, helping with building maintenance and mentoring the youth. There he met Tiago, a 17-year-old dreaming of becoming a motorcyclist, but already tangled with bad influences. "I almost perished on my path, Tiago," Marcos told him, opening Psalm 2:12. "Trust the Son and you'll find real life." Tiago was touched and started attending church. Marcos saw in him a reflection of his own transformation. At church, Marcos also befriended Maria, a 60-year-old cook who served in the food ministry. She had lost a son to crime and found comfort in helping others. "You remind me that God never gives up on us," Maria said one afternoon. Marcos smiled, realizing that his trust in the Son was bearing fruit, not just in his life, but in the lives of those around him. A life anchored in trust. At 50, Marcos lived with a quiet joy. His small but honest shop was enough. His home, shared with his mother, was full of warmth, laughter, and visits from friends and from Tiago, who now affectionately called him Uncle. He adopted a dog named Vento, who accompanied him on his evening walks. At church, Marcos led the youth group, teaching that trusting the Son is the way to true happiness. One evening, while fixing a motorcycle, Marcos received a call from Tiago, now studying mechanics. "Uncle, you saved me from perishing on the wrong path," he said. Marcos smiled, closed his phone, opened his Bible to Psalm 2:12, and thanked God. He knew that by kissing the Son, he had found the blessing of a life that would not perish. The meaning of Psalm 2:12. "Kiss the Son lest he be angry, and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him." This verse ends Psalm 2 with an urgent call and a beautiful promise. After describing the rebellion of the nations and the sovereignty of God, the psalm invites everyone, kings, judges, and every one of us, to submit to the Son, the Messiah, and find salvation through trusting him. Kiss the Son. The kiss is a gesture of reverence, submission, and love. In the psalm's context, it means recognizing Jesus as Lord and surrendering to his authority. For Marcos, it meant leaving rebellion behind and trusting the Son who offers eternal life, lest he be angry. God's anger isn't impulsive, but the natural consequence of rejecting his grace. Perishing on the path, as Marcos almost did, is the result of choosing self-reliance over surrender. The verse is a loving warning to choose trust before it's too late. Blessed are all who trust in him. The final promise is one of joy, not a life without struggles, but a life anchored in God. Marcos found this blessing when he chose to trust the Son, discovering peace and purpose. A reflection for your heart. Dear reader, do you ever feel like you're running down a path that might lead to destruction? Maybe it's choices, habits, or pride pulling you away from God. Psalm 2:12 is a loving invitation to stop, look to the Son, and kiss him, to surrender to his love and trust his grace. He's not calling you to condemn you, but to bless you. Marcos discovered that kissing the Son transformed his life, bringing him a joy the world could never offer. And you? Have you trusted him with all your heart? Perhaps today is the day to take that step toward the Son, knowing that in him you will find a happiness that never fades. May your life be marked by trust in the Son, living the promise of a joy that will never perish.